times when you go into a house fire and you're fighting fire, and all of a sudden the roof will fall on you and stuff. And one time when I was a new kid on the block, in North Park, we had a dress shop fire, and I was designated to go into the fire with a hose line. Well, the store was full of these racks full of clothing, and so, and you always enter a fire like that on your knees, hands and knees. And I didn't have a mask on because it was back in the 60s. And so I entered the fire, and of course couldn't see what was going on. And I got tangled up in all these dress racks, and they started falling and everything. And I lost not only the hose line, but I lost my helmet. And so I was scrambling around in there, and you could see the fire. It was the glow was towards the back and over my head. So I scrambled around. I finally found the hose line, and I turned it on to the ceiling area. But the trouble was without a helmet, the water hitting the fire would turn to steam, and then it'd recondense, and it'd come down, and these droplets of water was burning my head. And so after the fire, my head it was full of blisters. And so they sent me to the hospital. And the fire was, I don't know, late afternoon, something like that. But anyway, they sent me to the hospital, and they put me on a table that you could lower, the head or feet down. And the doctor came in, and they made tests on me for smoke inhalation and everything too. But then he took all this gauze, and he wrapped it around my head. So the only thing that was showing was my eyes and my mouth. And so I looked like a mummy. And then he said, okay, now what we want to do is we want to let him lay there for a while, and I want you to lower his head. So they lowered my head, and I was about to slide off head first onto the floor because of the tilt of the table. And so he came back, and he started screaming. He says, God, straighten this guy out before he falls off this table. So then, anyway, time went on, and he said, okay, why don't you stand up now? And they gave me some kind of shot, too, and for pain and everything. And so okay, why don't you stand up? This was about 2 in the morning then. And so I got off the table, I stood up, and I went right down onto the ground. I just so doped up I couldn't even stand up. So anyway, they left me there for a while, and then they called Mom and told her that I had been burnt, but I'm okay. And she knew that when the phone rang that I'd been hurt, but I was okay. And so anyway, for about 4 or 5 days, I had to be all gauzed up, and some of the kids I'd go outside, and the kids would run home screaming because I looked like a mummy and stuff. But anyway, that was an interesting time when I was first on the job.